Hi everyone, welcome back to our show. It's been 4 years and it's been a lot that we've been going through. Some of us got expelled, aka me, and some of us went to new pastures free, literally, and others continue to still have our words of wisdom. So it's great to be back. We have a brilliant lineup today. We have got the brilliant Thirza Asanga Rae with us today from the Green Party. And we've obviously got our co-hosts, Ekua, and we've got Reederwan as well. I'm really looking forward to being back with you all. And I'm also looking forward to talking about what's been going on with politics, what we've been doing with campaigning, and what we're going to be doing moving forward. So, without further ado, we're going to go over and we're going to speak to our lovely guest, Thirza. So, Thirza, how are you doing, my love?
Hi, Grand Rising. I'm amazing, and what an honor and a pleasure it is to be on the show. Thank you.
It's great to have you, Thirza. So, can you tell our guests a little bit about what you've been up to?
Other than supporting an amazing by-election in Gorton and Denton, I've just been the true activist and socialist and candidate myself as I've ever been. So yeah, at the moment it's been really hectic here in Manchester for the by-election in Gorton and Denton. So we've been out canvassing, painting Gorton and Denton green, getting boards up, interviews, and just engaging with the general public. So interesting times here in Manchester.
That's brilliant to hear. So, Thirza, just for our guests, could you tell us what's been going on in Gordon and Denton, please? Because obviously you've got the brilliant candidate Hannah Spencer. How are things going up there?
It's electric. I think that's one word I'd use. Like people are on fire. Change is real. And I think, the Green Party have not got enough light on them historically, but this by-election has shone a light, especially in the Northwest, has shone a light on the party and what we're about. So I think, yeah, it's a long time coming, but it had to. The appetite within Denton and Gorton for change is real. They're tired of, obviously, the Labour Party and their failings, the scandal, and a number of atrocities that the party's constantly seeping out. We're hearing a new line almost every week. And I think there's no place for reform in Gorton and
Yeah.
Denton. The far right movement are trying. There was protests over the weekend as well. So yeah, it is what it is. But I'm sure that we're going to change the makeup of the Northwest moving forward from this.
So, Thirza, what's been coming up on the doors? What are the burning issues? Because obviously we've got cost of living. What would you say would be the burning issues in Gorton and Denton?
I think the wards are quite different by way of demographics and
Yeah.
makeup, to say the least. And that's the makeup, nationally. You're going to get pockets of different communities. Um, Most of my views are around the Gorton end, and the doors I've knocked have been down the
Yeah.
Levenshulme, the Gorton end, where the global majority are.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, yes, the cost of living, the bills. That's a major issue. I think the frustration that's coming out is, who to trust. There are a lot of voters out there who are just really struggling as to where to place their vote because of the constant lies, because of the historical leadership and failures in those leaderships from the Conservatives and now Labour. So there is a lot of weariness around it. Immigration hasn't been a major issue in the Gorton end because it's quite multicultural, that end. Um, I think the issues that are coming out in Denton are to the same
Yeah.
tune in pockets as reform around immigration. And I think again, it's a major topic politically. I think what's happening is they're crossing wires from illegal migration and migration as a whole, and
Yeah.
therefore, the far right will use that rhetoric to divide and be divisive. So the Greens are coming to Gorton and Denton with hope, with unity, positivity, and our policies to affect change so that people live better.
That sounds absolutely brilliant, Thirza. And we're going to move on to your campaign now because, as you said, you're going to be running. So, how are things going with your campaign?
So again, my campaign has been long in the process. I didn't just arrive as a candidate sort of this year for this election. I've been running since 2023, and where we weren't as big as we are now, the Green Party we're giants in the political arena, and I'll keep calling it because every day we keep getting members joining. So our growth is recorded. I think it's the greatest growth in such a short span of time compared to historical parties' growths. So for my campaign, I think I have literally been chipping away at the Labour seat. I'm the candidate here in Manchester for Moss Side. I was also the candidate for the general elections when we had our brand new constituency shake-up for Manchester Rusholme. And in each campaign I have run, be it local or be it the general, I came second place. So there is an appetite for me. There is an appetite for Greens, and there's definitely a need for change.
So, what would you say again is the burning issues that are coming up in Moss Side? Because obviously Moss Side is a completely different dynamic to Gorton and Denton. Do you know what I mean? I've been there and I love Moss Side. So, could you let our guests know what are the burning issues from there?
Yeah, I think there is a difference, but there are similarities again. And I'll say that to the Gorton end, where there's Levenshulme, there's Longsight. But the major issues in Moss Side that come to me at the door are, first of all, how they're living. I think Moss Side, in terms of the property stock and the conditions, are appalling. Again, you know, with my union hat, working for a housing union and being a housing commissioner, we hear a lot about decent home standards, and we're campaigning and fighting hard so that people are living in houses that are fit to live in. We don't want another repeat of babies dying in homes. You know, GMT as a union was campaigning hard around the Abshak and Rochdale issue up there, and the coining of ritual baths and how they describe us and our cultural way of life. And I think it's appalling that people are still living in really bad stock condition homes. So that's a major issue in Moss Side, how people are living. Obviously, the cost of living, how to feed their children. Obviously, the two-child cap affected a lot of people in Moss Side because there were a lot of bigger families. The global majority of people usually have bigger families anyway. So I felt that that was a policy targeted to us. That's been lifted now. However, it's not going to just hit every household in a healthy way. It's going to take time to lift those children out of poverty. So big issue that was furniture poverty, living, cost of living crisis is big in Moss Side. I think other issues that come about is opportunities. Again, you know, I deal and I speak to a lot of young people, and there isn't a lot of opportunities for them to sort of thrive here. A lot of the services, a lot of the opportunities for them to get involved in apprenticeships and mentorships here, they're eroded, they're gone. So it is about finding what we can birth and bring new to the ward, and what we can revive from what exists from historical times.
Brilliant, Thirza. Can you tell our guests what are your pledges, please?
So again, a major issue with Moss Side and all the boundary changes is we lost a lot of our parks. And I know how important parks are for families, for children, recreational exercise, and therefore. We do, however, have neighbouring parks now from the boundaries. But the issue, again, that faces our residents is access. So one of my pledges is to create safe accesses to these other parks within neighbouring wards that were once parts of Moss Side, ironically. But it's about having those safe access routes to those parks, allowing families, children, cyclists to cycle and access the parks. Because again, Moss Side is surrounded by a few major roads, one of them being Princess Parkway. So my pledge is to, bring about safer crossings in those areas. Another one of my pledges is also around housing and making sure that housing stock and more homes where possible are built for our families. Now, there's been historical campaigns in Moss Side about development and building. Now, Moss Side is an already heavily dense ward. And what we try and do is make sure that we have services for people that live in the ward. Now, if we're going to build more homes, we need more doctors. You know, we need more clinics. We need all the services for the people that are going to end up living here. And that's not possible because we don't have enough space in such a heavily dense ward. So yeah, that's just a few of my pledges. Would you like to hear more?
Yes, I would like to. I would love to hear some more.
Okay. So another one of my pledges was centered around what we heard on the doorstep about feeling safe. Antisocial behaviour in Moss Side has been an issue, and I'm sure it's an issue in many other wards. But you know, of recent, I've had members in the ward approach me around alleyways and the fact that people are sleeping in alleyways. We've had incidences of drug taking in alleyways and things like that. So a major thing for me is to clean up, first of all, our alleyways and stop the anti-social behaviour and create sort of safe zones that families can access their sort of backyard. Because that's it, you know, you're taking your rubbish out, it may be of the evening, and then you come out and you see a group of, you know, mainly males clustered together. So children are feeling threatened, vulnerable elderly people are feeling threatened, and I just want to deal with all the antisocial behaviour and obviously the huge amount of fly tipping and rubbish that gets dumped in Moss Side. You know, it's one of those where I've suggested to the police and the sergeant that's in charge of the ward, not just signs. Signs are great deterrent, but we need to put some sort of floodlights in those dark areas, where possible, a bit of surveillance if we know it's a hotspot area, and just invest back into our streets.
Brilliant, Thirza. So, how is it looking for you?
Very promising. Like I said, with like 24 as of the last, because we had a fallow year. That means that there was no politics or elections for those who don't understand the fallow year. So I've had time to sort of really look at the makeup of Moss Side in that year gap. But still, all year round, I've been involved in supporting people. I was a housing commissioner, like I said, so championing and making sure that we got more social housing built through Social Homes for Manchester. And we've helped shape that as well through Manchester City Council, alongside a few of the councillors and the leaders for the housing department in Manchester City Council. And that work is ongoing. With, like I said, the share percentage, and with Gorton and Denton happening, and just the Greens on a wider level growing popular and growing in membership, I think that the change is here now, and this seat is mine this May.
Yes, tell them again, Thirza. The change is here, yeah, because we're fed up of Labour now. Yeah, everyone is fed up of Labour. So the change is here. So if you are in Moss Side, especially Rush Home, please vote for Thirza, yeah? Right? So you can live and thrive. If you vote for Labour, you're going to suffer. All right. So Thirza, you brought up a very important subject that obviously everyone knows that I'm passionate about, which is housing. So you've said that you're on the Housing Commission. So could you explain to our listeners about what that entails and the sorts of things that you do? Because in some places we don't have housing commissions. So if you could explain that, that would be really helpful, please.
Yeah, so Social Homes for Manchester came about. It's a coalition of a number of groups and charities who realised that, you know, previous governments and even the current one haven't built enough social homes. And most councils have had this really low quota when it comes to, you know, developers on how much social homes that they're going to build. So the commission was birthed to apply some pressure. Now we've got neighbouring wards, Salford, who they were building a lot more. They had a better strategy around development than Manchester City Council had, and we wanted to influence that. So we wanted to increase the amount of percentage of homes that are built under any development. So, where the developers were building homes and lining their pockets, it left we, the residents, with no social homes. I hate the word affordable. You're not going to hear me use the word affordable, but it is a word bandied round, and it was a word used as we debated the housing situation. But yes, social homes is what we want. Family homes is what we want in Moss Side. Decent homes, safe to live in for the longevity, because I think a lot of these housing associations or developers will build cardboard boxes, and where there's a repair, they'll stick a plaster on it. So you're never going to be safe in your home, and you don't know whether it's a home for generations to come in your family. So we want the solid homes, built, fit to live in. So the commission brought about that. We also looked at and mapped out the areas. So we looked at who owns what. So where you see a big piece of green land, there are ways and means to get the data around who owns it, what they've got earmarked for it. And so for me and the global majority people here in Moss Side, rather than having the council descend on what they intend to do, we want to be one step ahead of the game, and we want to have already mapped and understand the land that we live in or around, and so that we have a say. So out of the commission group, a neighbourhood housing development forum is to be birthed, where the residents have a voice around the table. So before Manchester City Council or any developer wants to come and build in Moss Side, they consult the neighbourhood housing development group, and give them a voice at the table. Because I think it's often said when they want to build, they'll just look at it from an aerial view. They've not lived in the area. They don't know the demographics. They don't understand the people of it. It's just to them a piece of paper and land, and they will decide what they put on it without proper meaningful consultation. And I'll say it that way because their consultations historically is probably a mail that gets dumped, either at your door and you don't pick up, or through your inbox and it's spam. So how meaningful was that consultation? So hopefully we have a strong body of residents that will speak to any development in Moss Side moving forward.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Thirza. So, is there anything coming up for you that you want to share with us moving forward?
So I'm still doing a lot of conversations around the education system. That's a passionate area of mine as well. I'm a parent governor at two major schools that, again, a lot of global majority children exist in those schools. So I'm quite passionate being able to speak to providing opportunities for next generation leaders that are coming out of these schools, but equally as well to hold those schools to account. I think, what I've done in my time is always looked for or tried to be the person where holds a bit of governance, because I think where there is no governance, we fall short. There's no checks and balances, and how can you aspire to be great if no one's calling you out when you drop the ball? But anyway, so those are things that I'm quite passionate in around stopping the school to prison pipeline. And that leads on to sort of some of my criminal justice work that I do. Historically had loads of conversations with the head of Crown Prosecution Northwest because of joint enterprise and because of, again, the stats don't lie, the disproportionality for our Black boys and girls. The data's there. It's clear that we're dealt a bad card as a global majority of people and children. And we want to put an end to that. So a lot of the work there, and more recently with BTP, because they've got transit communities. But again, it's county lines. It's the things that affect people that live in the ward that I'm standing in. And so therefore, I want to be on top of all of those conversations and ensuring that the right things are being done around stop and search. And just, work needs to be done with the police, as you're aware, Andrea, and how they they treat and deal with the global majority. So that's sort of snippets of things that Thirza's actually busy doing alongside,
Brilliant.
politics. Yeah.
Yeah, so Thirza, you feel you're going to get out of this one, but could you explain to our guest what Greater Manchester Tenants Union is, please? And
What
what
is?
your role is in it?
Okay, so I've had quite a few roles, but I started off.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. But GMTU again, as somebody with lived experience, I lived in overcrowding, a terrible 2-bedroomed social housing property. And why I say terrible is because despite banging on about leaks and complaints, the ceiling fell on my head, and as disappointed as I was and failed as I was, I fought them. Don't get it twisted. I fought them, took them to court, and won. Um, I think there's many that suffered and not won, and here I am, promoting and encouraging people where there's an injustice or they've been harmed, to hold those people to account. So I knocked on GMTU's door around those times for support, guidance. A single mother of 4, heavily frustrated, and having sustained injuries in my home where I should have felt safe. So I got involved initially and became sort of the chair. GMTU at the time was quite young. It had not long been birthed, and we started with meetings in living rooms, so you can see sort of the grassroots beginnings of GMTU. And I decided, with my activism background, having worked in trade unions for years and understanding self-organized groups and representation, I sat as chair of GMTU initially for the best part of a year and some months, just while we were norming, forming, shaping. But because of the intensity of the work on the ground, I wanted to meet residents. I wanted to support people sort of on the ground locally. And so I stood down and applied for an organizer role and became the lead organizer for Mossad. Did some work in Harper Hay as well, some amazing work in Harper Hay, because that's another area of Manchester that, again, has been deprived and neglected. And I'll say by Labour, because Labour have been the predominant party operating here in Manchester for years. So yeah, that's the story of GMTU. I got involved with them.
Okay. So are you sure about that? That's the story of GMTU, yeah? So as an organizer, you brought Andy Burnham to see conditions. So could you explain a little bit more about that? I'm trying to run away, yeah? Yeah, explain that. Yes, I did my research.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, again, it's back to the governance I was talking about, and in any scenario, those who are responsible, or those that sit within their remit, need to be held to account. So rather than firefighting, so to speak, because I felt a lot of that when I first started off organizing, I called Andy Burnham down. I took him to 3 residents, members who had been representing and helping with their housing situation, to see how they were living. And so said, so done. I mean, Andy was shocked. His team from the combined authority was shocked. I mean, one of them instantly got on the phone to Manchester City Council while we were in the house talking to the residents, and identified like 4 category 1 risks. 4. Wow. And this family lived with a disabled child in the house.
Wow.
So not only am I juggling the frustrations of seeing my people struggle and suffer, but here I am knowing that one phone call from the combined authority nipped it in the bud. Fast forward to that, for that family, just to show you that there is happy endings and a silver lining, is that they're now in a 4-bedroom house out of the community, but at least they have a safe house, and it's theirs. It's not private, it's theirs, from a social housing provider. So they're in a better condition now than they were when I was working and Andy Burnham visited as well. So yeah.
Brilliant work. Thank you, Thirza.
Thank
you. You thought you was going to leave that out, innit? We have to obviously tell the world about the brilliant things that you have done
Not at all.
obviously.
You see, people might see Andy as, somebody big, maybe titles do it for people. They don't do
Yeah,
it for me. Andy's
yeah,
Andy's a human
exactly.
being just like me. He's flesh just like me, and therefore, yeah, I will call anyone down. You name it.
Yeah. You run him down, innit, sis? You run him down. That's good to
I
hear.
will call him down. I'm not running anyone down, but I will call him down, or her, whoever it is that is responsible needs to see
Yeah.
or needs to be held to account, and I'll do that easily.
Brilliant. Thank you, Thirza. It's been great having you here for the interview today. We've heard a lot from you. So we
Thank
will definitely be seeing you again after May. Hopefully, you'll
Yeah.
be elected as a councillor. Good luck with your campaign. And thank you for joining us today.
Well, enough said. Thank you for having me, and thank you, team. This is an amazing opportunity. This podcast.
Thanks a lot. So now we're going to move over to Ekua. You're
Drawing
on
out those
mute.
nuggets from Thirza. Apparently I'm on mute.
What's going on?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't on mute, and then I was on mute. So yeah, brilliant. Andrea, you bring out those nuggets from Thirza, and yet another brilliant Black socialist candidate out there making a difference with her through the Green Party. But what's important for us is that there are a global majority Black in our, how we describe, candidates making a difference, standing up, being heard, doing the work. So I'm going to do a little roundup of our brand new social media. So we've just started with Instagram. We have quite a large, what would you call it, membership who are supporting this. So I just wanted to go through some of the snippets of what has been shared. So can my screen go large just to show the Instagram page? Is that okay? I don't know how to do that. Oh, fantastic. So let's have a little scroll down here. This is our logo. And when I come back on, I'll show you that I have the t-shirt. And Black Socialist Union fighting for a fair and equal representation for all. Please, people, get onto Instagram, follow us, find out a lot more about what we're about and what we mean by Black. If you come to our Instagram page, you'll be able to find out about that. Just going to come out of that one. So, our members, we're concerned about what's happening around the world. We're talking about, what's happening in Iran, the complexities of the politics there. How do we support ordinary people who are dying on the streets? At the same time, being really aware about how the US is using, working with Zionist Israel, is using that situation to their own ends and not caring about the people. So that's one of the conversations we've been having. Just going to go through here. Um, just finding out about organizations like Caribbean Labor Solidarity and being really clear that the labor in there is to do with the history of the labor movement in the Caribbean and has nothing to do with the Labour Party that we know no longer represents us as people. Come and find out more about it. There's a petition on there. We've got people getting their councillors to get on board and actually have a position on Gaza. Let's keep scrolling through. There's a few. Come and see what we're talking about, what's important. This is coming up, and would really like to see people coming out. So that is a women-only event in March. It's on the 7th of Saturday, the 7th of March. Our members will be there. Hopefully by then, we'll all have T-shirts and flags, and you'll be able to find us and come and talk to us. And if you've got an issue you want us to share on the show, the email, I think, will be shared in the chat in a bit. And then let me just go to, what have we got here? No, I've done that one. Just a really quick roundup. Obviously, today's show. We're going to be with you every Wednesday morning. And on this one, I was just being able to give you a chance of going through some of the exciting stuff that Thirza has been sharing with Andrea. But what are we here for? Our show. We're here to support Black socialist candidates to be selected and elected in local and general elections, regardless of party affiliation, raising awareness of issues facing Black communities, raising awareness of actions, campaigns being led by and for Black communities and people. So that is a summary. Come and follow us, and there'll be more next week. Thank you. So I'm going to hand that back to Andrea.
Thank you very much, Ekua. And I'm now going to pass over to our words of wisdom, Reederwan. Come in, my bro.
Yes, my sister. It is a joy for me to be with the three of you. All of us wear scars. We bear the scars of a politics that has been hostile towards us. But what you are doing, what we are trying to do, is to evoke the example of Claudia Jones, a communist, exiled almost from America, coming to the United Kingdom and speaking truth to power and the powerless. And it is important that the issues of Black people who are really in a state of colonialism within the United Kingdom. And we must decolonize this United Kingdom. And our attempts at doing so will not make us popular. Claudia Jones was not very popular in certain quarters. She was not popular with the Black middle class, but she was indeed appreciated by the poor. I listened to our sister Thirza and I wish her well. And I say that as someone, not a member of the Green Party or of any party, but where Thirza goes, I will support her. Where Ekua goes, my sister, I will support you. And where my sister Andrea goes, even if she's not in the same political formation, I go. Because all of you try to make the world a beautiful place. In the words of Matthew 25:25, you are trying to do something for the least of these. Our sister knows in the church they speak about Matthew 25, and there are very few people who speak about the least in society. Our sister Thirza had indicated the importance of the housing stock, but it is necessary to remind people the housing stock is a political project to empty the housing estates for the regeneration and gentrification. Our sister Andrea lives and breathes this issue. The two of you are dealing in that Manchester area with this issue. It is the elites in our country, the very Epstein class, are the people who have been selling out the working class. They've been, from the time of Tony Blair in 1998 to David Cameron until today, even Starmer's new project, you can see they're not interested in poor people in the city. They want to empty it. When they talk about sink estates and degenerates in these estates, it is a deliberate strategy of underinvestment. You people work in the councils, you know how hostile these people are to working class people. And when they talk about, yes, I had my sister Tira speaking about the alleyways of people and antisocial behavior. It is important we serve the needs of the people in our wards and our constituencies, but we cannot be unmindful of the language that we might slip into, because this was again part of the war on the working class, where unwelcome social behavior was criminalized with ASBOs. When young people go to school and they fail because they are too hungry to learn, and the schools and the houses from which they come, the families have big issues, and these young people sit with mental health problems. There's nowhere to turn. There are no social facilities in the communities, not because they were not, they were deliberately sold off. And when these young people have nowhere to turn, they sleep in the alleys, and they become a nuisance, of course, to the residents. But the young people are not the issue. The people who take drugs are not necessarily the issue. It is the people in the councils and in parliament and in number 10. They make the decisions that turn these young people into zombies. And it is there where I have confidence in the likes of you in the Green Party, because before you people went into the Green Party, I didn't take them seriously. But now I've seen the work you people have done, and I see the work that our sister Andrea is doing with your party, then I say, the future just suddenly looks a bit brighter for us as Black people. So my view is, my dears, we have to be as radical as I've always known you people to be, but then do it with the class and the style and the color that I know you bring to bear as Black people. And we just are unapologetic. We are not going to hit down to the working class. We hit upwards to the people in power, but we do speak truth to the powerful and the powerless. My dear Andrea, my sister, I can go on unless you stop me.
You can go on, brother. I'm enjoying it. You can go on.
I think we have to also think about audience who would also
I
go
know. Anyway, do you know
enjoying
what, Reederwan? As always, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guests Thirza and Ekua. Thank you for co-hosting. First show's done. We had a wobbly start, but we got there in the end, man. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone watching. And thank
Thank
you
you.
to the Canary and Turn Left for supporting our show.
Thank you, our brother Curtis.
Mary, thank you, especially to Curtis. Yeah, Curtis has had a morning with us this morning. So thank you, Curtis. If I ever see you in person, we owe you a drink, mate.
Non-alcoholic, of course. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.